Well, hello there. It has been a while, I know that, and I've been busy, frankly, working full time, going to school full time, and I've got some new additions and some sacks on the way. Yay. However, we're back. Today we're going to be going over more of a philosophically topic, kind of. We're going over the value of spiders. I'm sure many of you have noticed when you're shopping for a new spider. Some of them, for adults, you can get them for $30, $40, and other slings can be well over $500. Where is this discrepancy coming from? They're all just spiders, after all. We're going to be addressing that today and explaining where these seemingly arbitrary prices come from. Throughout this video, I will be talking about species, not individuals of the same species. What do I mean by that? I mean that the male and a female of the same species will be wildly different prices. Same can be said for a sling versus an adult. You all are smart enough, you know why the prices would be different on those. I'll be talking about different species costing different amounts of money. That's what we're talking about here. Furthermore, we're also not going into the whole philosophical debate of the value of life. Yes, I get all that, but we're talking about the actual monetary value of spiders. That's it. We won't be discussing the value of life in this video, or any video ever. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. So I've narrowed this down to 4 different aspects that will determine the cost of a species. First would be ease of breeding, then it would be sac size, then it would be commonality, and then it would be durability. We're going to go through these one by one. Let's do it. First things first. Before a species can have a firm footing in the hobby, it has to be bred. Very few species have their entire footing in the hobby through wild caught. Sometimes it's illegal and sometimes it's difficult. No, the main supply in the hobby is through captive breeding. That being said, if they're not easy to breed, they may be a little expensive. By far, the most common issue with breeding is cannibalism. Yeah, spiders do cannibalize each other. Everyone knows that, even people that aren't in this hobby. However, sometimes they cannibalize before mating. A great example would be the green bottle blues, C. pubescens. They are known to eat the males, sometimes after copulation, which is great because the male doesn't need to live after, the pairing has gone on. But occasionally, the female will eat the male before he gets to do his duties. On the other end of the spectrum, sometimes they are wildly easy to breed. And beyond ease of breeding, sometimes tarantulas will double clutch. What double clutch means is they produce 2 egg sacs for one mating. 2 or more egg sacs, for that matter, for one mating. Now, all spiders are capable of doing this, and many arachnids can do this. However, very few tarantulas will commonly do it. So yes, any tarantula has the capability of double clutching, but very few actually do it. Great example would be H. species Columbia. They are known for double clutching. Not guaranteed that you're going to get a double clutch, but they'll do it very often. Next up, and this one should be a no-brainer, is the sac size, the egg sac size. How many eggs are actually in the sac, of course. Now, not all spiders are created equal. Many arboreals only have about 100 eggs per sac. Not very many. Now, some, like Brachypelma albopilosum, can have well over 1,000 in a single sac, which is why B. albos tend to go for just a couple dollars for slings at an expo, and even adults are not much more expensive. Now, quick note on the sac size. I'm sure many of you are thinking, oh yeah, they have that many babies because they tend to die off. That is true in the wild, not in captivity. Luckily, we've gotten good enough at breeding that many experienced breeders experience no losses with their eggs. They expect to get the full 1,000 eggs to be viable slings at the end of it. So that argument doesn't really hold. Pretty much what the spider lays in an egg sac, you're gonna get if you know what you're doing. Most of the time. Next up is durability. Now, I'll primarily be talking about slings in this section because adults, more or less, are pretty durable. It's the slings and sometimes juvies that just die very easily if you don't really know what you're doing. Some species are wildly durable throughout their lives. A great example would be Ceratogyrus darlingi. Even the sling can be kept on nearly bone-dry substrate. If you kill a C. darlingi, you're not doing it right. They're quite durable. On the opposite end of the spectrum, some species, like Calabrachys huahini, they start to curl as slings if their humidity drops below a certain level. They die very easily. It just depends. It's not necessarily a humid versus dry thing. That was just my example. Sometimes slings are just prone to die. It's a problem, but it's there. Alright, so this last one's going to be a little bit more complex because it is influenced by the rest of them, and it influences the rest of them. Commonality in the hobby. How easy is it to even find this spider to buy, let alone what it's going to cost? You see, just a decade or two ago, pretty much all you could find were New World terrestrials. Not even arboreals, New World terrestrials. Other species from Asia and Africa simply weren't in the hobby, in the United States at least. You couldn't find them, so if you did find them, they were wildly overpriced. Luckily, the hobby has grown a lot. You can find pretty much anything you want from any country, so that's good, in a sense, I guess. Now, obviously, this will vary with time, what I just said. What will be common right now may not be common 5 years from now, and what's not common right now might be very common 5 to 10 years from now. So, the specific examples I'm going to bring up in this video may not be relevant by the time you come around to watch this, but I just pulled up some prices. This is through, actually I'm not going to say who this is through, but I found 3 Calabrachys species electric blues. They're juvies, just about 1 to 1.5 inch juvies, for $1,000. 3 of them for $1,000, and they're not adults. These are juveniles. On the same website, they're advertising with any order over $25, you get 3 L. parahibanas for free. Free. You get them for free. And juvies, by the way. So you can see clearly L. parahibana is very common in the hobby, whereas the electric blues, not so much. Now see, the electric blues, from what I've read, are not difficult to breed. They're not difficult to keep. They are just rare in the hobby right now. They have just started being imported here to the United States and also not long ago into Europe. You're not going to find them very often. If you watch this video 5 to 10 years from now, not even 10 years, I guarantee you these spiders will be much, much, much cheaper because all Calabrachys are pretty darn easy to breed in the hands of a capable breeder. So give it some time, you'll be able to get that fancy blue spider eventually. Until then, though, expect to drop $1,000 for 3 of them. Now, commonality will also, like I said before, make the other aspects kind of go away. Going back to that electric blue example. The first American breeders are really starting to produce these as of right now, just in the last couple years. So the market is starting to get these spiders in. Now, very few people actually breed spiders, I understand that. But the problem is, as you may or may not know, once you get a mature male, it pretty much stops eating. It stops being a pet. It doesn't want to do anything other than mate. So, like what I used to do, if I have a mature male, I am shipping him off to go get bred. Sometimes for a trade, sometimes for a sale, sometimes for a loan, whatever. But he's going to do his business. Now, in breeding, we are introducing more slings. More people will get the slings, more people will get mature males, and rinse and repeat. Over time, you end up with a lot of slings on the market and a lot of people ending up with mature males that will hopefully send them off to be bred, bringing the price down. That's a great example for the Calabrachys electric blue. From what I've read, they're easy to breed. Give it a few years, people have them, the price will go down. And if you're in the future, pick one of these up, because I don't have one yet, and I would kill for one. Calabrachys is my favorite genus. Get one. Tangent. Moving on. Great, so where does this leave you as a keeper? Sure, this is a great informational video, but what does it actually all mean? What it means is, what does the spider mean to you? We were talking about the value of life before, and this is kind of encroaching on that. Some of my favorite species are not the most expensive ones. In fact, about the only really expensive species that I really enjoy are the adult Brachypelmas, because those are pricey. But what does it mean to you? Just because a spider is expensive, like P. metallica, I don't want a P. metallica. You couldn't give me a P. metallica. I'm just not interested in it. The value to me is not as much as other people. So, that being said, censor yourself a little bit. Shop around. what one dealer is offering may not be a great deal for you. Might be a good deal on the market, but not a great deal for you. Sometimes you need to hold out, sometimes you need to pull the trigger and pick up on a good sale. That's really what all of this is about. And that's actually about it. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to post in the comments. If you have a question about a deal you think you might have found, I'd be happy to weigh in on it. Until then, I've been EulersK, this has been Iraniate, and thank you for watching. Alright, so the video is over at this point, but I decided to start doing this at the end of episodes if you're interested. Of course, I've got goings on, so let's talk about it. Unfortunately, I told you I was pairing my green bottle blues. The female died for no reason. I have absolutely no idea what happened with her. So I'm sitting on a male right now looking to send him out, but she's gone, unfortunately. However, I've got 3 successful pairings with my P. striata, my E. trunculentus, and my B. amelia. They all had very successful pairings, so I'm hoping for some sacks on them by the end of winter, hopefully. The E. trunculentus I'm very much looking forward to. That doesn't have a firm footing in the hobby, like what we're talking about, so the adults tend to be pretty expensive. So I'm looking forward to getting some slings on the market. I got quite a few more slings, as you can see. I don't feel like naming all of them, but frankly, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not a big fan of slings. I really don't like slings, but I gotta deal with it because, frankly, slings are inexpensive, but the adults tend to get more valuable as they go. So, once again, about this episode, you gotta go through that. And lastly, I was lucky for a short time that I had several molts in a row confirm females on a lot of my specimens, so I was very happy about it. However, for the last 3 months, I've had about 5 different spiders molt and finally tell me they're sacks, and they all turned out to be male. So, in short time, actually, I've got a few penultimate males here that will be shipped off. Luckily, I already have a breeder, actually here, so they don't even have to be shipped. I just drive them over there. So they'll be gone, but I'm going to take them as a loan. So I'll be getting a lot of slings in eventually. And that's about it. Let's hope more goes on by next episode.